Welcome to Trading Lounge and the US indices for the 11th of January. Okay, just on the hourly chart, first things first, our trade here, we can bring this stop up here under this particular low here. To protect ourselves. We're in this box here is the 50 and the 60% retracement level from the previous swing down. We can look at that in a moment, but it is a resistance area that we've been looking at. And the next level up, of course, here is the 2,600 followed by the 2,650. Now, the current move up here, we've been labeling it as a wave A and a wave B and a wave C moving into this space up here. And that's sort of okay. This last little trend here is extending out, but it's kind of okay in a way because the length of wave A here is, and then the length of wave C here would bring us up to the 2,650 area through here. Okay, the move up here can be counted as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then in here 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for one nice sharp move back for wave 2. You can see 5 waves up here for 3, wave 4 pulling back. It does overlap wave 1 here, so that's a flag, and then we need to look at this as the last little structure up here that's not completed yet. It can go higher here. The other point too is that okay, so the market has risen quite a lot. So, are we in a bull market? So this is a question that we need to pose as well. But first things first is that we're trading long, so we're on the right side of the market, and we need to protect our profits. So we've done that. So we can move into the guessing game of the analysis at this stage. I know that there's lots of different counts out there. Anyway, let's just have a look at this. One of the things that I wanted to sort of point out here is that, if this is all the move up here, if this is some type of wave 1 here and some type of wave 2 in this space here, then we need to ask ourselves, does this also here look like a wave 3 coming into play here? It doesn't look all that powerful, does it? It's just really been sort of, it's nothing strong about it. It has been building, which is fabulous, but it's not a powerful structure, is it? So it's not really like a wave 3 moving up here. If it was anything moving up here, it would be up for wave 1 here, back for wave 2 here, and then up for another wave 1 and back for wave 2. So more of a building process to the upside. But it's, a wave 3 would normally take out the top trend channel here, and it's not doing that just yet. So I think it's sort of important to note that. And also too, with the S&P, we can also look at the banks, because in 2016 it was the banks that started us to the upside, and or any market that trended up in 2016 will be on the same on the same trend. So in just some of the banks here, Goldman's here, we can see from its current high here, we've got down as wave A here to start with, and wave B here, and then we've got wave 1 here and wave 2 here and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So we can have an ABC here, and we can have a low in place here. Okay. The other point with all of this, though, is that maybe we'll get 5 waves down, because this does pan out quite nicely as a third wave here, doesn't it? It's quite powerful. So if that was the case, then we would get some sort of move up into this space here, the 38.2% retracement level. So yeah, we can monitor this, but it can also have wave 4 here and wave 5 to the downside here. So, we need to look at where we are with the banks. We need to understand with the banks, well, for this market at least here, is will we get 5 waves to the 38.2% retracement level? Because if that's the case, then we'll have more of a bullish market in play. But if we only end up getting 3 waves to the 38.2%, well, then we're highly likely to come down. And this is the same for Morgan's as well. I'll just leave it it at 2 banks for the moment. But with Morgan's here, currently we've got the high in place here. Obviously, we work through this triangle pattern here, and we end up picking the low here, which is quite nice. And the move up through here. Yeah, so the other point here is this structure here. Normally when we're looking at an A and a B and a C wave here, if I can just give a little lesson here, so the market moves up and we get an A wave, it's normally the A waves that's sharp, and then the B wave, and the C wave is on a bit more of an angle, sort of reluctant to go down, it's kind of ready to move up. But we can see here that this is actually quite powerful to the downside here, so it's quite possible that we've got this as wave 3 here and wave 4 here. So in this case here, we need this market to move up below this wave 1 here. It's just something that we can look at here. So we want to see that breached here. If it falls from here, then it falls down into this last structure here. So it's it's nice to see if we can get the banks on side here with these as well. I just thought I'd go a little bit wide here today. It's always good to, obviously the stocks create the indices, so it's important to look at that. So the questions are here, do we have a low in place here? And we can look at that in a moment. And if so, how do we count it to the upside? So is it up for wave 1 and back for wave 2? And then up for 1 and back for 2. Once again, I'd still like this trend here to play out. We can't label this wave 3 because wave 1 here is still longer than wave 3 here. So it's only really at the 2650 area through here that would play out here. So yeah, so this 5-wave structure here still needs to play out. So there is an extension in the 5th wave here. So probably it does seem a little bit sort of unlikely that would have that extension in the 5th wave, and perhaps there's another way to count that, and there is actually, but yeah, let's just see how this goes here in terms of the bigger picture here. If we go to, say, the weekly chart here, then we can look at wave 4 being in place through here, and then we'll need to look at this as an A and a B and a C here coming down, the same as we had a look at one of the banks just then. So on the daily chart, that would appear like this here, as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave down here. We didn't really ever get a nice 5-wave structure down through here, but I did pull it apart on the tick chart, and I did show that once with every little wave accounted for. So it's possible to have that 5-wave structure down through here. To the upside here, this first little space here, the 50-60% retracement level from B here down here in this space here is important and critical. So coming into the to the 2600 area through here is very close to the 61.8%. So, and also too, it starts to look at all of these previous lows here of support here. So volume is going to have its say here as well. So that's the first resistance. The next resistance, of course, is from this high here down to this space here, coming into this area here, the 50 and the 60% area through here at the 2700 here. It's possible too that if this is in 3 waves here, then it's possible that we could end up looking at a much more complicated, pattern through here as well with all of this. So it could be a situation where we have, if I can just copy the text and put this here as a B wave here, so that would make the A wave here, and then a C wave over here as well for this. So an A, a B, and a C. It could also work into a triangle pattern here as well, where we have all of this as the A wave here, a B wave here, a C wave here, a D wave here, and an E wave here, and then a move up from that space there. So that's also possible there as well. There is, so yeah, in counting this to the upside here, in this terms here, we can look at it like this with wave 4 in play here, and this would be wave 1 and 2 here. But like I mentioned, look, maybe this will just continue to creep along, but it doesn't look like a third wave to me. So I have to flag it, you know, in one way or another. That the other point here too, in terms of this moving up here as we had it before, this little move down here was the clearest in the structure. We had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here for this move down here. So this can be labeled as wave 1 here. So a move above this red line here would basically cancel out any sort of further downside to the market. That's not quite true. There's just one more little downside pattern that needs to be well, it needs to be at least looked at, you know, before we start throwing tomatoes at me. But this move here is possible. It's probably not the case, but look, you know, I think it's great to put all the counts we can get on the table and then eliminate them one by one, which is down for 1 here and ABC for wave 2 here, and then looking at all of this here, instead of looking at it as a C wave here, look at it as wave 1, and then an A and a B and a C back into the 50-60% retracement level, which is not that silly really, because like I mentioned, we're not seeing this as a real powerful structure. I mean, it started off strong here, but it's really creeping along here, and when I see a market creeping to the upside, then I have to, you know, ask myself, well, you know, there's weakness in that. Well, there's obviously weakness in that space there. Yes, I know it's coming into the resistance sort of area over here, but look, I just thought I'd throw that into the mix there. This is all the same for the tech stocks as well. So it's highly likely this is not wave 4 up here anymore. So we can start to look at alternative counts as wave 1 and 2 and so on here. But still, we need to allow it to play out. So wave A here, wave B here, and wave C here, which also could be a wave 2 at the top here, or it could be up for 1 and back for 2 and up for 1 and back for 2. But the same thing applies here as well, in that we've got wave 1 and 2 here and 3 and 4 here, and then we've got 1 and 2 in here and 3 and 4 and 5 here, and then this comes down and overlaps this here, so it makes a nice 1 and 2, and then the market gets really slack from this point. We've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to 3 and back. This has got the look of a wave 4 here, you know, but it does overlap this structure here. So you know, at this degree of structure, it's okay to do that with derivatives, I guess, but and then looking for this structure to the upside here. So once again, it's important that, you know, we've got this as support here now. If you've got a long trade in here, then that's okay, but if this is breached here at this point, the 6,500 would need to be out of the game at this area, at this stage here. So yeah, the target to the upside for this would be 6,650 at that point there. So yeah, look, that's all I've got for the time being. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.